our basic color application. So first thing that I like to do with a full basic color application is drape the client properly. This is specifically how I prefer to see it be done. Mind you, we're going to be covering her from roots to ends. So I am going to lay a shoulder or a towel shoulder to shoulder with 2 butterfly clips. So that way, this is our double drape. The drape is actually over the back of the chair, so no color is going to fall in between the client and the chair. Alyssa, will you grab me a paddle brush, my love? Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and get my client into a section 4, obviously divided at the apex. If you are wondering how we do our basic root retouch, this is usually like gray coverage or natural coverage on the regrowth, then I have previous videos that you can check that out in. The first step to a full basic color for me is always going to be the basic root retouch first, and I will explain to you why in a few minutes. Alyssa, will you also, I'm so sorry, will you grab the Salon phone and turn on YouTube? And I just want to make sure that we're monitoring comments and questions just in case. Not that I expect there to be a lot. I'm actually going to be using this video for educational purposes later on, creating a step-by-step and training for our interns, as well as educational content. Ooh, that's a small. As well as educational content later. Boom. Boom. This is actually just a gloss that I'm putting on her. And the reason is because I want to restore her shine, give her a little bit of vibrancy back. And I like the idea of roughing the cuticle at the root just a smidge, because we all know that how much virgin hair loves to just let oil and sebum sit right on top, keeping us really flat and lacking volume. So this is basically just a gloss with a 5 volume, which is going to help rough that cuticle just a little bit. I'm going to go through here and do my start with my basic root retouch. So those of you who've seen the basic root retouch tutorial, I'm using the dragging motion, which this is going to give me about 1 inch or 1.5 inches of paint or barrier at the root. So when I go back through and do my roots to ends application, I'm already going to have that base there, and I'm not going to have to be worried about holidays or missing portions of color at the root or scalp. Of course, again, for those of you who've seen the basic root retouch application, I always start in the back, quadrant 2 or 3, horizontal sections, working our way up. For a lot of reasons, I don't know why beauty schools teach that you start gray coverage or you start a basic root retouch in the front. That's bogus to me. If your hair color does what it says it's going to do and processes within 35 minutes, why are you starting in the front to allow it 45 minutes or 55 minutes? That just sounds like poor performing color to me. So you can do this one of 2 ways. I prefer to go through the entire head and root retouch first. A lot of times we're using a formula, for those of you who know this, if we're doing an all over basic color, let's say we're lifting and depositing at the same time. A lot of times we'll use a formula, for example, that is maybe just 1 volume or 1 step down in volume at the root. For example, maybe a 20 volume at the root and a 30 volume mids to ends. This gives us the opportunity to do that if needed. That's obviously not the case here with this specific color. Like I said, I'm using a 5 volume instead. So there's no need for me to edit or change the formula at the root to avoid hot roots. Clearly, because this is a no lift scenario. Okay. So like I said, I prefer to go through and base everything at the root first. You don't necessarily even have to do that if you don't want to. You could work 1 quadrant at a time, but you do have to base first. Okay, this is very basic color applications. These are things that we learn foundationally as knowledge to build upon later, right? Fundamentals, if we're talking sports, fundamentals win championships, you know, all that stuff. So we are going to make sure that we are nailing our fundamentals to 100% accuracy so we can do it with muscle memory with our eyes closed. I am an advocate for a very detailed and thorough and precise root retouch application. I hate seeing sloppy work that says more about us in our industry than you can imagine. It really is, cleanliness and presentation, this should be a point of pride for us. So, okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and turn her so you all can see. This is very easy. I'm literally taking one section at a time. You can see, because I've already done the root retouch, I'm just gently tucking the hair away, grabbing my paint and doing sweeping motions, and then pulling through with friction, either the scissoring with the fingers or tension between my thumb and forefinger here. I also prefer to use a color comb. You can see this is what I call a color comb. It's just basically a crappy beauty school cutting comb. I'm blocking it. How's that? Mucho better? Okay, so sweeping motion back and forth. This is very important. Why am I doing that? Well, blocking, sweeping motion back and forth as I apply from that root retouch down, so the mids to ends. That sweeping motion with my paintbrush is very important because it helps me encapsulate the entire hair shaft with hair color. So saturation is key, especially when you're working with a high performance line like Alpha Parf. I love Alpha Parf, you guys know that. I am gonna say this, Alpha Parf does not perform for lazy stylists. So if for some reason you have a holiday or you didn't get gray coverage where you wanted it, it's either a formulation error or it's an application error. And I know stylists hate hearing that, but that's just the honest to God truth. So let's mitigate those errors and apply with heavy saturation, roots to ends. Like I said, this will not perform for lazy stylists like other brands will, maybe ones that are very liquid or highly ammoniated. Yeah, you may get the saturation, you might get the coverage, but the tonal value, the quality, the deposition, the light reflection, the color retention, all of that is going to be inferior to something like Alpha Parf. You're just not going to get the same colors, the color quality, the hair condition, all of that. Obviously, because higher ammoniated colors may be more effective and potent as far as saturation is concerned, but they are also going to bring more detriment to the hair, right? More breakage, and the tonal and deposit value is not going to be as great. My love, I'm going to cover this hand when you're ready. I was looking at it like, oh my God, I'm going to mess something up here if I'm not careful, okay? Mind you, I've mixed, this is Colorwear from Alpha Parf, so this is their demi line, and I've mixed it at a 1:2. In theory, it's thin enough that I could put it in a bottle, but I want to make sure that I am going layer by layer, section by section here, sweeping back and forth, because I want to make sure my saturation is 100% without fail. See that? Using my fingers to pull that color down as if I were like spackling a wall. I want to make sure that's even coating all the way down. Even distribution of product. So this is how I prefer to see our basic root retouches done. This is how I teach every new stylist that comes into our salon how to apply basic color application, not a basic root retouch. Basic root retouch and a basic color application are two different things. Basic color application refers to roots to ends. Basic root retouch is just the roots for obvious reasons, right? So I'm starting at the ends of the hair. I'm using my color comb to gently comb through here. She did have some extensions in before this. That's the only reason I'm getting some shedding is because I did not shed her or comb her out completely before I started. That's my bad, but has nothing to do with the quality of her hair or the health of her hair. She's not losing hair by any means, so that's just an illusion because I did not comb out where the wefts were as well as I should have before I started painting. Okay. You can see, just like that, how I am sweeping side to side and then evenly pulling down through the hair shaft until I feel inside of my nitrile gloves, I can start feeling where it's dry because that cuticle begins to rough up a little bit and create some friction as I'm pulling my gloves down over the hair shaft. If it's evenly distributed and coated, you're not going to feel that friction as you pull your hands down like that. So all the way up to the top. See that? And now we have quadrant 1 done. We're going to move up to quadrant, I'm sorry, that's quadrant 2, not quadrant 1. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Quadrant 1 is always in front of the right ear from the apex section all the way down, right? Same thing here, sweeping motion, starting horizontal sections in the back at the nape, moving from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3, starting at the nape. Right, always managing my tint load and color load on my brush, on my tint brush. Making sure that I'm not slopping color everywhere and all around. This is why I like to work with white drapes. I feel like it should be a point of pride to be able to keep your drape clean. It also speaks to your cleanliness as a stylist, and your cleanliness as a stylist is one of those factors that will build guest trust and credibility with you or with them. I don't like seeing messy stylists. It's not to be proud of. And mind you, I'm preaching to the choir here. I am the messiest stylist that ever walked the face of this earth, and I really had to learn how to start controlling my tint load and my sectioning and being methodical about my processes and making sure I had the right tools necessary to keep myself clean. Also, the support, the additional support from assistants is always good, but I for sure am the messiest stylist in my salon, and they will all attest to that. Yes, my love?
Your client said that you wanted to take pictures of her hair. Do you want me to show it after?
I do want to take some afters of her hair. Yes, I'm so glad that she reminded me. Yes, please curl it. Yes, thank you. So the idea of using this file, and I'll let you guys know what my formula is right here. So this is the Colorwear by Alpha Parf. This is their Demi cream line. They also have a gloss line. Why didn't I use a gloss? Well, I know that glosses are a little bit more translucent. I like the idea of using a cream for controlled application. And I'm also going to be applying this on the extensions. I've noticed that the cream has just a little bit more softness to the finish and texture of the hair than the gloss does. Gloss performs like a gloss, right? So it's an acidic based toner, all well and good. But if I'm looking for softness, then I'm gonna go with my cream. So it has that arginine in it, which is the ammonia synthetic. So this is ammonia free color, right? Great for your very sensitive clients. This is hypoallergenic. I love it. I know most of you don't know this, but I actually almost had, well, I did. I retired from doing hair in 2019. I had to quit doing hair from behind the chair because I was so deathly allergic to hair color and PPD that I couldn't even color my own hair, much less do other people's color. So thank God for Alpha Parf because it literally saved my career. But yeah, here we are. So the formula is the Colorwear Colorwear Cream from Alpha Parf, and that's a 10.31. In equal parts, I used 50 grams to a 10.02. I also used 50 grams, and then, actually I'm going to start on her left side, or her right side. 50 grams of 10.02, and then I used 5 volume, mixed into 1 to 2. So here's the thing. I think one of our biggest errors, I don't know with other lines, I mean I've used toners in other lines, but I think 5 is the most underutilized volume of developer out there. 5 is really like the unsung hero. I think so many stylists think that they don't get the deposition that they're going to need with a 5, which is wrong. As long as it's the right color line and a high performing color line, I think the 5 volume actually, if I were to mix a 5, this same formula at a 1 to 2 with a 5 volume versus this same formula at a 1 to 2 with a 10 volume, my consistency in deposition and the tonal value is actually higher with the 5 volume than it is with the 10. I think for so long I didn't tone with a 5. I just didn't believe that it was going to be effective enough. I'm also getting great retention as far as longevity of color and tone for my clients too with a 5 volume. And it's just gentler on the hair, as we all know. So it's definitely my favorite to use. So as you can see here, I'm pulling vertical sections away from the face. Here's my basic root retouch, which I could go through the whole quadrant right here and just do my basic root retouch. Right, pulling it away from the face. Or like I did with my first section there, I just applied roots to ends, but for educational purposes, I'm going to show you. We're doing our root retouch first, like I talked about. Vertical sections away from the face. Why vertical sections away from the face? Well, presentation value, number one. I like my clients to sit clean and feeling as pretty as possible as they face themselves in the mirror. And if we start our color around the hairline in the front, and then we start throwing hair over their face and just all over the place, it starts smooshing around the hairline, and we start getting out of control, and we look messy. And when we start in the front and move our way back, all the client sees is color around their hairline and hair in front of their eyes. So I like the idea of having a clean presentation, pulling that away from the face, and this really allows me to detail the hairline. You can see I'm just using the tail of my comb there to pull that hair over her ears. Make sure we're fully saturated there. So, as I did with the previous section, I'm going to go back through and apply now mids to ends, starting from that line of demarcation where the root, that's why we cover. It's because I was not being clean. Part of that is because I'm standing at a weird angle because I want you guys to be able to see, but usually I don't drip or throw. I do pull. Rochelle knows that I pull on accident. She jokes that I beat her up every time. She comes to the salon. I low-key think that she likes it, or else she wouldn't complain about it, though. So, just kidding. So yes, we are doing vertical sections. I'm actually just starting in this top sub-quadrant here. I'm divided at the temple and pulling this back, and then I'm going to move down here. You can do that if you feel like there's the quadrant 1 and 4 are large quadrants with a lot of hair to handle. I think I'm just doing it for cleanliness, so that way I can show you in greater detail the application method or theory. Just like that. Again, subsection is from the temples up, vertical slices all the way back, sweeping motion, using my fingers to evenly distribute that product, feeling for tension or friction or gaps in that color application. There we go, nice and smooth all the way down. And I'm specifically using a formula with a 10-3-1 and a 10-0-2, even though she's not a 10, because I just want a little bit of glow. Number one, I'm not looking for a lot of deposit. I am looking for, ooh, look at, I did that again. I am looking for UV protection, blue light protection. I'm looking for hydration. I'm looking for shine. I'm not looking for a heavy tonal deposit. It's not, I don't think it's necessary. She came in, her hair looked great, her color looked great, but I did notice her ends were a little dry and brittle, so I feel like this is gonna help. And then I'm gonna combine that with the Bond Builder from Alpha Parf while she's at the wash bowl. So this is our basic color application. You can see how clean the hairline is right there. Easy, easy. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this front left quadrant. Then I'm gonna go ahead and cap her and let her sit for the manufacturer's recommended processing time. So that is our basic color application. Once she's in a cap, I can either fold this up and clip it like that to those shoulder or to those butterfly clips, or I can remove the towel completely, use it to wipe and clean her hairline, leave the processing cap on. I also like to take a towel and wrap around the hairline in a bandana fashion, so that way the presentation is great and solid. Actually, Alyssa, will you go ahead and grab me a processing cap? Hi, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and do this side real quick, and I'll show you the final presentation of my preferred color application and how I like to see the client rest. Let me make sure we are in frame here. There we go. Doing my root retouch, vertical sections here. So we were just awarded one of the awarded as one of the top 200 salons in America for 2025. Cool, right? Yeah. So I don't know what the category or what categories we are going to be named in, or as far as the ranking is concerned. They're going to start announcing that in February 28th. But we will see where Artisan Parlor shows up and what kind of award I know just being top 200 is a big, big deal. So it is a data-driven award. So yeah. We actually have to submit financials and our business plans and models and things like that. The caps, they're in the color bar on the floor in one of the cupboards down there in an orange and silver box. And I think they're more on the left-ish side of the color bar than the right. Yes, beautiful. Thank you, my love. I want you guys to stay and watch how we cap her, because I feel like this is very important, and I'm going to call out a few mistakes that I see happen often when we cap people or let them process in a cap. Things that I just think are absolutely don't make sense at all. And I'll explain to you why in 1 minute, as soon as we get this color application on. You see that right there. So technically, because I've mixed this as a 1 to 2 with a 5 volume, it's considered a toner. I'm still using the same amount of color, but it's in stylist terms or in all senses of the word, this would just have the same effectiveness as a toner. So there's that. We're almost done. I'm going to cap her and show you what y'all been doing wrong. Just kidding. Hey, if I'm doing something wrong, call me out because I want to hear it. So. Here we are. Last section or two. And you can see how quick this color application goes and how clean and controlled it is when it's done correctly. Lumiere. No, 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 baby. I don't know why you're barking. Okay, loves. So, here's how we're going to cap. Are you guys ready for this? Of course, cap here. Woo, my flannel's falling down. Inside the cap, on the hairline, if they have stubborn gray, one of my favorite tricks to do is take a Sanic strip, stretch it out, and I just like literally, I will take my fingertips, apply it on the hairline, and just shove it up and back into that hair color. It really, like, I feel like sticks those hairs back into the color. We're not doing that here, obviously. There's no gray coverage needed, and it's just toner, but that's a little tip. And then you just go ahead and put, once this is on the head, like this, you just go ahead and put that processing cap right over here, so that way the doesn't leave a stain or a line on the forehead, which we've all seen that too. That's nasty. Let's not do that. So from here, I can take this clean-ish towel. It's not super clean, but it's clean-ish because we were pretty controlled, right? I'm using the dry side, not the wet side. I'm just going to check her hairline. Her hairline looks perfect. Go ahead and wipe around the ears there. And I can do one of two things. I'm going to do a corner-to-corner handkerchief fold like this, and I can cover her hair like this, right, and tuck it in. Or I can do a bandana fold. I don't like the bandana fold for this specific application, but I will use this when the handkerchief fold compresses the hair into the color, and that's not the objective, right? Maybe if it's just only a basic root retouch, we have just an inch of color application, we don't want to start compressing that longer previous hair that's already been colored into that color. We don't want to cause progressive color or any kind of overlapping or banding. But this is also another way we can let the client process, right? But because Rochelle is doing a full roots and basic color, not just basic root retouch, I'm going to go ahead and handkerchief fold this. Go ahead and put your chin down for me. We're going to tuck that tail all the way up, give it a nice little snug pull there. Tuck it in right at about the ear. Am I bothering you like that? Are we cool?
Great.
Does that feel good? Okay. And so she can sit with some dignity and feel well presented. She could hop on a work call if she needed to, or FaceTime her boyfriend and not feel like a total mess. Again, presentation, dignity, all of these things are some of the things that really set you apart as a high value stylist. So giving your clients that value back, right? So I hope this helps. That's our basic color application. You guys can hit me up if you have questions. This is a live video. I'm going to be taking it down. If you're interested in seeing this video again, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel where I upload all of these videos for my subscribers and answer personal questions that you might have about your career. So take care. Thank you. This is Lauren Slay's hair.